Welcome everybody. I am Sabrina. You have seen me, you have heard my voice, and I am here chairing the meeting together with me. We have the part of the creative team. Yeo Hongbeng, our director. You've seen also him on acting platform, and Tejas Ewing for the videography. And we also have a second videographer or filmmaker that is gonna join us, Deepesh Vasudev, as soon as he can. Thank you for joining for watching the movies, and thank you for joining us. Um, we were just exchanging SMS this afternoon with the cast, and I was making the consideration that if we had no COVID this year, tonight at this time, we would have been in the theater at Aliwal Arts Center for a show that we had planned with the same group of people, about 10 persons between the creative team and the actors and musicians, to open another show. And we were, of course, not able to do this, but we kept the date and we kept the timing. So basically, we still have a premiere for us, and we are still together thanks to the music and to the theater and the filmmaking. So it is a day which is quite emotional loaded. So let's start, and I just give you a little bit of a background about this project. As I was just now saying, we were supposed to do another show in April, and we decided to close before the closure of the theaters and the circuit breaker restrictions in late March. And we thought we will do it in November. And then, as you know, things are very good right now in Singapore, but a few months back we couldn't know. So we decided to shift it to next year, March 2021, with the hope that by then the COVID is just a bad memory. And we have decided to stay together as a cast and keep the consideration and the reflection about the themes, which are similar. What brings us human to enjoy and to seek art, beauty, and nature? What are the values that, what are the powers that nature and art have to soothe and calm our spirits, calm our minds, and nourish our souls? I think that even more after the COVID situation and the circuit breaker, we are all more aware of what arts and nature can do in this sense. I don't know about you, but I spent basically the whole circuit breaker in nature walks. We were so lucky in Singapore to have the permission to go on a walk on our own with masks and all the restrictions, but we could still go and walk outside. And I was very lucky to take this opportunity basically every day, go to the botanic gardens and enjoy nature and really seek a soothing balm for my troubled spirit. My family is in Europe, my daughters are in Europe. I am afraid, as many of us are. And nature managed to calm me and to center me. And then from this idea, which is actually an experience that many of us, almost all of us, have had during the pandemics, the project has started to evolve around this idea. And I asked the cast, okay, the National Arts Council, which I really need to sincerely thank for their support, because after all, without their support and their grant, we would have not been here tonight. We discovered that there were some platforms to sustain and to support artists and art groups, and we decided to carry on with this consideration and to do this show in a digital form, and we landed in the. Sorry, I think there was a little glitch.
There's 3 more people in the waiting room as well. But that means everybody.
No, they're all connected. I hope that you are all there. There has been a glitch in the connection. Is anybody able to hear me? Hello, everyone. Is anyone there?
Yeah, they're coming back.
Okay. Who is here joining?
Is it on the hotspot though?
Yes, I'm on hotspot. I'm back. I don't know what's going
There's
on.
still 3 people in the waiting room.
Okay, I hope that you can hear me. Yes, thank you. Thank you for your patience. I don't know. It's tonight is a premiere, so yes, we also have problems with the connections. Anyway, welcome back. We hope that this time is more stable. So yes, we were saying that the show really comes out of the pandemic situation and facing the impossibility for artists to express, to create, to gather, to rehearse, and to share with the audience. And also from the experience that we all had to try to cope with the situation and see how we have been coping with that, personally with nature, personally with music. And so I've done the majority of the people that have joined this cast. Maybe I leave the word to who is taking first.
Do you want to do questions or do you want to? Because I feel like you gave a very
Okay. Or maybe if you want to unmute yourself, if you have anything that you want to say right away to start a conversation or to have questions or comments, unmute yourself and then join us.
If possible, I would like to invite Deepesh to also introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Dipesh. I worked with Tejas on making the film. We shot and edited the whole thing together.
Yeah, and he has his exams now, so he just wasn't able to be here in person. So
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what I'm gonna do for my exams.
when's your first one? Already on Monday?
It's on Tuesday, but it's okay. Film is number one.
And then we also have Verena here who did the text and storytelling for the piece.
Yes, and we have Rachel, one of the soprano. Hi, Rachel, and actress. And we have, unfortunately, 3 of our cast members who cannot join tonight for professional commitment, and because the baritone Sehao is in the army right now, so he cannot really join. And we managed to snap him here and there for the filming and the recording sessions. Anyone has, Verena, would you like to say something about how did you work on the text and what was your first step that you did in your writing process? You can unmute yourself first. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Well, first of all, I had to get the concept first be clear about the concept from Hon Beng, what he envisaged for this, the videos. And then what happened next was then, I created some scenes based on the scenario, but also at the same time, I sent out a survey to all the participants to gather information about what they have experienced, about nature, about art. And then from there, I condensed the information as well as put in my own personal, experiences and came up with the text. Yeah. So it's a collaborative affair because on one hand, a lot of the images came from all the participants themselves, and I just embroidered around those images. But it's also collaborative in other ways, as you have seen visually, because everyone had was filmed at some point or other doing something, and as well as everybody contributed to performing the text to saying out the text aloud. Yeah, so it's fun.
Thank you. It has been a collaborative project indeed, and it has been a very much of a juggling between COVID restrictions, impossibility to gather more than 5 people. If you think about one director, 2 filmmakers, it makes 2 people of cast member possible to reach the legal number of 5. It was impossible to go outside without a mask, so we had to go to a studio to record for the voice, of course, for quality of the sound, first of all, but also because we would have not been able to sing outside. It was difficult to go to Botanic Garden and film while everybody was wearing a mask, and we were only 5, but we were, for the shooting sake, taking away and put it back and forth. It was impossible. It was difficult because some of us have teaching commitment during the day. Some of us have other commitments in the evening. One of us is at the army, as I was saying, so how that I say hi. It has been really a juggling in terms of coordinating the sessions. And then behind this, there was also another nice mixture, which is we've had 2 actors that are mainly doing acting, and one of them is also doing movement, Charlotte, that cannot be here tonight. And then we had a pianist who had never been into the recording studio, right, Tabitha? And then we have a baritone to soprano, a mezzo, that are not so familiar with acting. And all these nice people was landing in the hand of Ben, our director. So I would like to ask him how he decided to go with a cast that is so varied and so diversified.
Right. Hi, everybody. I guess the fun thing about the project is really about the collaboration. That, you know, when the project was sort of cancelled or postponed, the whole idea was really about, yeah, if Sabrina sent us a text or like an email that tells us it's cancelled, what would the reaction actually be? Like, we'll just get on with our lives. Do we curse and swear, or do we get discouraged, or do we want to find ways to continue? And I think the whole idea was that we all react as ourselves, as individuals, in the actual artwork, with our own reaction and our own capability. And the collaboration is that each of us contribute in our own ways, whereby we do not dictate exactly how it should really go. Like, we'll give the freedom of Verena to write based on the inspiration after the concept is out. We'll let Dipesh and Tejas, work on the video editing, because they are then the artists, at work with the digital filming and all. So it's really about that collaboration, and each of us are nicely surprised, when we are performing and all that. So of course, different performers have different sort of regards, whether they are camera shy, whether they will prefer, to be guided, or they would enjoy. And I think some of them really enjoy, like our birthday girl enjoy working, hi Rachel, on her birthday, and having fun spinning, on one of the chairs and all that. And we create scenes, and we explore, and we talk things through, and we also allow them to freely express. We do not want to just go into logic, because I think song, music, and all that, it's a lot about emotions and the spiritual engagement and all that as well. Everybody speaks in a different medium, like whether you're singing or you're painting or you're writing or you're filming. So we allow that to be organic, right? To morph into a project that each of us co-own, and not just own it because somebody says it should be this particular way. So I think that's the fun thing about this project. Yeah.
I can say in addition to this, that as a producer, I'm used to be quite of a control freak. So in all my previous productions, I know the repertoire, I know the script, I have been there for the rehearsals, I know exactly how it's going to be, I know all the words that each character is gonna say, sing, move. And when I open the show, I know exactly how it's gonna look like. And if I told you that I saw the final movies only yesterday, as a producer, I was entitled to watch it before the rest of the cast that has discovered the movies tonight together with you. And I've been asked very often, oh, I have a filming session. What scenes are you gonna film? And I had not the least idea, because we didn't have a script in this sense. And as Ben was saying, we realized the filming, each session, each image that we've seen has come out of spontaneous improvisation on a guideline. The guideline was prompted by Ben and sometimes even by Tejas at the camera, and we would react or not, or just react completely wrongly in a way that they were not totally expecting, or we just decided to laugh like crazy because we were over nervous and didn't know exactly what to do. So it's a very different way to go about making theater and making a show than what I'm usually have when we are in live theater, in a live performance, in a more standard context. I see Rachel, one of our sopranos, and I've seen Tabitha, our pianist. Maybe Tabitha, before going to the singers and the actors, would you like to share something about you? Were saying that you were totally new to the experience of a recording studio. Anything that you would like to share?
Well, a recording studio, first of all, it's always like 10 times worse than performing, because you know it's gonna be immortalized forever. So if you perform, you make 5 mistakes, right? You record, you probably make like 20, I think. And because you know, okay, the next take will be better, the next take will be better. So you keep on thinking there's more takes, even though we didn't have that time. I think we had maximum 2 takes per song only, which is really little. And like the singers and we I think really tried our best to nail each take, because we know there's only that amount of time, right? And everyone, I think, tried our best, including myself. And the recording studio was freezing. The piano was on risers, so it threw my whole center of gravity off. But you know, inside the studio, you just have to go and do it.
Yeah. Well, the studio is very dry, acoustically speaking, and so when you sing, you hear yourself, and your voice sounds to yourself incredibly flat, and as if you had not taken one single class of singing lesson at all in your life. I see Vivienne, I know that you are a singer, and I know that you are laughing. I see you laughing. I think that you relate to what we are saying. And I see Thomas Mannert, our vocal coach, now currently in Germany, but used to live in Singapore, and he's the coach for all our singers. Jin Young was one of your students at SOTA. The rest of us we are your current students, and Tabitha has also been under your protection wing. Would you like to say something now that you've heard us? Say only something nice, of course.
Okay, I only say good things, yeah. No, for me it's amazing because I didn't know much about the background, about the requirements. So I just went on studying the songs normally with you until someone came up with a strange instruction. Thomas, I only have to sing one line. Or maybe I have to sing only a piece. Maybe I have to improvise over my classical piece. And improvisation, when we have our score, when we have our romantic music, we are not so used to improvisation. So it was for me first quite confusing until we got the, how can I say, the easier instruction, just sing your song and later the editor will do the work. And that was much easier. And it's interesting. So I hear you live in the studio. I know all of you from live singing lesson in the studio. And then I hear you now a little bit compromised through our Skype lessons. And then what the recording studio makes out of it is amazing. It's nice. I mean, you sing all very nicely, but there's a intimacy to it because you sing closely into the microphone. Intimacy a live performance then cannot give you. Intimacy also of text treatment, because I can hear the text much closer to the microphone. And when we sing in a bigger concert hall, we have to sometimes make a little bit compromises in the text treatment for the sake of projection. So that is something I enjoy now very much in concerts that come over the internet. Otherwise, well, I have to say I'm all very proud of you. Really glad. I mean, for some it was the first time to really go on a bigger performance, and it's really nice to see also that you are creative and continue performing in a situation where here now in Germany, performance life is totally down. We are in our second lockdown. So I'm glad that my Singaporean friends continue and are safe.
We have thank you very much, Thomas. Very nice word. You can stay with us. I'm joking.
Thank you. Book the next lesson.
I know we have class very soon. Just for the singing and the music, and so for Tabitha as well. Terenza, who is here and is just writing that the singing and the music were divine. Thank you very much, Terenza, and Boon, very, very much. Thank you very much. And Terenza, you were saying right now that you were asking if it was intentional that at times voice and spoken voice was almost muted very softly, and that you found yourself almost interacting physically with the screen when you go closer to it. So the question is maybe first for the filmmakers, Deepesh and Tejas, if the sharp glitches that sometimes we heard of voices, be it spoken or be it sang, it has been an intentional artistic decision from your point of view.
Yeah, I would say that everything that you see in the video is intentional. The reason for something like this is we have a philosophy that when doing an online presentation of a performative piece, we don't want it to be similar to what you might see in a theater or a concert hall. And the whole idea is to not have that situation where you just have a series of performers in a theater and you record that. We're trying to do something totally different to make a film out of it. And of course, if you watch a film in the theater, different emotions, if someone is crying or screaming, it's going to be louder. When they're whispering, it's going to be softer. There's going to be times when you have to lean forward and pay attention, times when it's overwhelming. So again, the overall perspective that we're trying to give is this idea that it's not just a performance that has been recorded. It is a complete piece of filmmaking. So in that regard, I also wanted to bring Deepesh in to talk not only about the sound design, but in terms of this intentionality. I think what everybody has to realize, which is very interesting, is that we had a script, but the footage that was filmed was not filmed from the script. So there was an original idea that we created, of course, in order to get the support of NAC, and we have stuck very firmly to that idea. But Deepesh and I had a huge amount of information, and then we had the recorded text by Verena that gave some kind of framework. But even that, nobody forced us to keep it in any particular order. So what I really wanted to get Deepesh to talk more about is, how did you create a story out of what really looked, if anybody had just seen what we had to work with, it looks like abstract footage. But we were able, especially thanks to Deepesh, to create a story out of it.
Thanks, Tejas. So from all the footage that we recorded, the script, the music, it was like Tejas and I received this box of jigsaw pieces, but they weren't like specific pieces. They could be swapped and fitted anywhere. So Tejas and I had this big task of like, okay, so so they have given us this idea, which is like the final picture. The final picture has to resemble this, but we could use whichever pieces we had and arrange it whichever. But we also wanted to we like to this is, I think every artist agrees with this, we like to always do something different from the projects we've done before and challenge ourselves. So Tejas and I, we have done purely narrative films, and we have done purely abstract films. This is like a marriage of both, and we haven't done that until now. So we want to marry the both films, but we want every abstraction to have an intention. So for example, when Karen asked us, why was it so quiet at moments? So reason number one is I would like for people to watch the film again and again and like hear things that they didn't hear before. So it's almost a sense of discovery. And second, it's almost for me, I when I read the script for the first time, if someone is deeply passionate about art or nature, when they hear these events, they might be slightly going like insane. So the voices are supposed to be like thoughts in your head, and the thoughts in our head, sometimes they're loud and sometimes they're quiet. So and then you decide which one to pay attention to, because in the film, not all the thoughts are positive, not all the thoughts are about the love for nature. There's negative thoughts and there's like different thoughts. So that's the whole intention. And there's almost like we created this, we created both the films are like twins, but they mirror each other. There's a proper structure. Like if if you can recognize the songs, you realize that, for example, Sabrina's songs are always in the end. Because I found her way of singing to be more climactic, and I like the way Rachel was singing, and I put that in the beginning. And in the middle of each film, the middle of each film has a point of apathy. In the middle of each film, there's the Verena's text is about a person who has absolute like, I don't care, and I want that to be the midpoint. I wanted the film to be like a rising chaos, and then the chaos goes away, and then finally the characters have found peace. That's why it ends with Sabrina on the lawn, and she's like in bliss because she's like, I still have nature. So yeah, that's, we always want to, we want to create a story, and we want people to like discover the story. It isn't pure abstraction as as most people would think it is. So like we want people to discover. So that's most of the work that we did as filmmakers.
And the other thing I will say, hopefully it was not obvious, but maybe this will come as a surprise to you, but everything in the film was filmed on smartphones. So this is something new that we've also tried, and I'm blown away. Of course, a lot of it has to do with the color correction that Deepesh did and the lighting that was on set, but I'm still blown away by how cinematic it happens to look. So I would just say, everybody, if you're considering this kind of thing, please feel free to use smartphones. They're so much better now than they ever were before. We happen to use Sony, but anybody who can use smartphones, like I don't think we were even nervous about doing it, but it certainly made our lives. There were a ton of advantages to using smartphones that made the project a lot more dynamic. The way you can work with the performers, the way you as the filmmaker can get in the middle of everybody without a huge amount of equipment. I think those things do come through in the video with the dynamism of the shots. So that's one other thing that I wanted to say.
True, that is very discreet, if I can say so.
Sorry, Sabrina, can I say one more thing? Sorry. So I just want to say before it's like, maybe I might forget this. It was an absolute pleasure to like edit and like film this, especially editing. Editing wise, usually I get used to the beautiful images and like the music I hear. I didn't get used to this. I still watch, and sometimes I get like shivers down my spine when I hear some of the singing. It's so beautiful. So editing this was like amazing. Like I was entertaining myself while I was editing this, and also while I was filming. For some of the projects that I did, some of the shoots that I did with Beng, we were in his studio, and it brought me back to my childhood when, for example, in school, we'd have these things where we would make a skit on the spot, or we would like spin a yarn. And because we were like, because usually filmmaking doesn't have improvisation. People spend like 6 months to a year making sure everything is planned and everything goes perfectly. And this didn't have that. It almost had like a spark of like freedom, which usually film doesn't have. So I just wanted to like get that out of the way. Thank you very much.
You said the keyword for me. It has been a freeing process. For those who are among you that are Francophone or French speaker, it has been an act liberatoire. For the first time, I was not bound to a script, not bound to stage direction, which are very, very strict because the plotting of the lights has been rigged and plotted in a way that you can't go out of that area, can't move your arm too much because then you are out of the light, because the band is waiting for you to react like this and like this, or because the cast is waiting for you to go and give that cue. In this case, we've been really left to ourselves, which is very scary at the very beginning, because if you are completely free, then at first you don't know exactly what to do with so much freedom, and you can get scared or impressed and even frozen. And at the end, when you jump into the freedom, you forget. And then you forget that there is a guy or two guys going around with the smartphones and filming, because finally you are used to walk on the street and have people on the smartphones. It's not something that is troubling you anymore. You don't have a huge camera and a lot of people and seats that are lifted or not for the video maker to do his work. So freedom has been the key point. And after all, I'm almost tempted to say that it's paradoxical that so much freedom comes in a moment where we only hear about restrictions and obstacles in our current situation. So it's very paradoxical and it's very interesting to think about.
I think talking about the original, about freedom, and during this whole, lockdown internationally everywhere, the big grand idea initially that we had is basically that we have every single artist who is involved, and we film down their reactions, all their songs, all their voices, all their messages separately, and we actually allow the audience to actually construct in their own freedom, to actually construct their own story, with the beginning or the end, etc. In that sense, that was something that we wanted to actually experiment with as well. So while we did not continue with that as a bigger project, we at least stick to the original idea that everyone has that capacity to work freely and to contribute freely in that sense. And I think Dipesh really had his wonderful moment whereby he says that that's the sheer joy of reminding him of why he started and wanted to film. Yeah. So that's a good moment.
Yeah, and anyone has wishes to say something? I'm reading some comments. Don't be shy. It's just us. It would have been worse in a theater with more people.
You can always type your questions as well.
You can type your question if you prefer to be more.
One important thing I'll say in case, anybody has questions, but the videos are going to be online now. There was a live premiere, and the reason we do that is to still create that sense of anticipation. But now for the rest of the year, they're available. So you can watch them whenever you want. Anybody who missed this can still go and watch them. That website will be up and you can share it with your friends.
You can always comment on the YouTube video itself if you have any questions, anything you notice and you're like, so yeah, you can.
There will be also on Belle Epoque, Facebook, Instagram, websites.
Someone wants to ask us a question.
Oh, there's a question.
Yeah.
I can't see the question.
Hi.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to share what my experience of watching it was, because this Zoom thing, I'm not very concentrating, and it's, I work on Zoom at the moment. So I came last week, and I actually realized I hadn't watched what I was supposed to watch, because I thought we were going to watch together. So this week I made sure I was watching it, but I was in the middle of cooking, and it's exactly what you were saying. So I kept playing it, both videos, over and over again, not sure that I had actually watched it or not watched it, or my son would come in and my concentration would be lost, and then I go, hang on, I didn't see that done before at that time. Am I watching the same video? Is this video getting longer and longer? It was quite a fun experience. I'm not the most professional watcher, but I enjoyed watching it like that, because it's actually fitting into what you guys are saying about that, seeing different things. And so that's my comment. My question, and this is about art in general, and also I hear you talking about the idea of having an idea and freedom. And I'm here in Indonesia, and everything is weighed down by the concept. And it doesn't matter how bad something is, as long as it's got a concept. I don't know what's happening in Singapore, but and I'm always arguing, well, it's the idea, and it's the idea and what grows from the idea. So for me to hear you all talking about an idea and the flexibility within the idea rather than being stuck to a concept is quite refreshing for me, and really, really nice to hear and see that artists are doing that. And I guess, could you as artists go back to the old way of following the concept, or do you think this is a way? Because I'm always told that you have to have the concept. Every time I'm in a discussion about art here, it's always, you've got to have a concept. And I'm like, no, we start with an idea, and the concept might come later. And Verena once gave me a book, and it had a whole section dedicated to be aware of the concept. Beware of the concept. Not be aware, be aware. Because the concept so often is created somewhere else in a room, not dealing with the artists who are involved. And I guess the question to all of you is this your new future of creating in this way? Or will big money or whatever, however, if you're lucky enough to get money, will that lead you back down the paths of dealing with concept? Because I love the work. That's it.
Thank you. Who wants to go first? I go first. Okay, because I'm the chatty one. I'm Italian. You can hear me.
And you're also the producer.
Okay, as for myself, now I speak not only as a producer but as a performing artist. I'm a classically trained singer, and I am used to work with libretto and a music score, a music director and a stage director, and then a producer or myself or somebody else. So the Trinity. And this time I didn't have all these, and I enjoyed it so much. So I hope and I think that I will not be able to fully go back to the way I was working and expressing myself before this experience, because for me, I feel that a step or a new phase has started in myself. So I hope to have again the opportunity to work in this way or in a similar way, or maybe find a third way to blend and merge this freedom and this high potential of expressivity with a previous mode of working with score, libretto, and very clear instructions. I think it's very unlikely that I will go fully back to that mode. I also think that this is true for life. Who is going to be really back to normal once the vaccination is there and the pandemic is over? I don't think so. Honestly, I think that the experiences and the things that we've been feeling and living in this year are too deep to be just washed out by the next thing. And now, because I've spoken a lot, I just wanted to know what were you been cooking while you were watching the movies, because I'm very curious. And then I give word to my colleagues.
Well, it relates to the nature, but I was cooking vegetables that I have grown, which is a garden that I started, and also cooking a beef tagine for, I go into the office tomorrow, so for everyone at work. So trying to manage with small pots, how to cook for 20 or 30 people. But yeah, some of those veggies that I had actually grown, bitter melon, which is one of my successful crops here. This garden started during the pandemic, when and this idea that nature comes back, we're getting lizards and we're getting bees and we're getting, my son said he saw a squirrel, the big geckos. We hadn't seen those here. And the sounds of nature are coming back too. So nature touched a very strong chord with me as I was watching that. I thought, yeah.
Thank you for sharing. So who wants to answer next? Tejas? Thank you.
Yeah, so thanks for that question. One thing I will say, and I'd like Deepesh to chip in, but I think the way that him and I work has been moving in this direction constantly, even prior to the pandemic. When you work with smartphones, it's a different kind of filmmaking. And in the past, you do have to justify what the benefits of those are so that people start to get it. But the benefits always are that it's spontaneous, that it can be immediate, that it can be radical, that it can be different. And those are the things that we've tried to do in all the digital projects that we've got now that everything is moving online. The thing about film is that in the past, it used to be as regimented as like a military operation, but that was because the camera itself costs $100,000. The film costs $1,000 per minute. There's a team of like 30 people. There's one person whose only job is to tape the electrical wires onto the floor. Another person whose only job is to mark places where people stand. Everything is planned down to the very last minute. And a lot of people would say that's why the only Hollywood films that are making money are superhero films. So the kind of filmmaking that we're trying to do is to get back to that idea that things can be spontaneous. One important thing I wanted to say, in this film, every take we use is actually the first take. There's no situation where we redid shot after shot to try to get, we wanted the reaction of the person in that moment. And so I think this has just been a wake-up call that there is also interest and demand in this kind of thing. And I think Deepesh, being much younger than me, who's already grown up starting this way, I feel like even if I think he's going to commit to it more than any of us. What do you think, Deepesh?
A lot of pressure, Tejas. No, no. I think for me, it's for me, the number one thing is always like intention of why we're doing the project. So here in this project, it makes sense why we did all that. But if I think maybe in a narrative film, it'll be hard to do this, but maybe when you're writing the narrative film, you can do this. Because like when Tejas and I worked on a few narrative films, and when we write them, it's almost like this: we start, and I think all of the films that we have done, the ending always changes. We are never satisfied with the ending, because even though we know what the film's about, we always try to like go beyond or find something different. So I think that happens in the writing process of narrative film. But in a digital art project like this, the whole process has the focus on the idea. I think that's my perception. And also, yeah, that's what I think. But
honestly, Deepesh, I do believe that when it comes to the feature that we're planning, I think there's going to be a lot more of this style of doing it. Like get all the actors in the space, get them to respond to the material, knowing that you'll be able to,
Yeah,
they'll be,
actually, it's fine. You mentioned that about like whether big money will follow this.
Mhm.
I think it's when you have a small budget, this is much more practical. And I think Tejas is right. If you're making a very small feature, and if you go back and watch like the first films of many filmmakers, like the best filmmakers, there's always this improvisation, and there are these like mistakes that they thought were mistakes, but in the end turn out to be like the best moments of the film. And it's almost like they film the first take. They film, they have different takes, and some of the takes are the improvisation of the actors. I think the moment you start increasing the budget, this type of style becomes harder and harder. That's just my opinion. I'm not sure. I'm too young. I haven't experienced enough filmmaking yet.
Ben, anything you would like to say to this?
I guess
Thank you, Lakers.
the two keywords I'm thinking of is basically being and playing. I think I never liked the word theater, etc., drama and all that. Too much dramas in our life already. I like the word play, the whole idea of playing, the whole essence of being young, being childlike, just playing. So the main idea of work is basically for everybody to play, to enjoy themselves, to play and be imaginative, all right, while we work in the process. And I think it's a lot of just being centered of being that we find a balance. I think during the whole period of time, everybody's very disturbed in different ways. But yeah, at the same time, sometimes we can also calm ourselves down because of the whole lockdown if we get some chance to rest. So while we work on the project, I think there were different interesting layers that, for example, now you as a viewer will not fully get, because we actually have a lot more different footages and improvisations that we are actually seeing and responding it as a live performance. Right, there was something live and it's something recorded. So this is a very interesting transition from that process that we were doing live, and then it's being digested and re-put together, all right, in a film form, within the limitations. And the whole idea is that we must enjoy what we're doing, right? If the whole lockdown and the arts is crashing around the world, and we still have to kill ourselves over how to work, it wouldn't make sense. We must find a new joy, in the very difficult period, and I really think that some of and all of our cast would have enjoyed themselves in one way or another, finding that freedom and being and responding as a person working in the arts, as responding as a person in a pandemic, etc. Yeah, so that's the idea.
However, just to go back to Kerensa's intervention, yes, we have idea, but there is a concept, and the concept is as old as 2016. I met Verena in the National Museum over a coffee, and we were chatting. At that time, I was producing and preparing a fully different show. I mean, it was a normal time, so it was a theater show, and I said to Verena that that I had paid a visit at the National Gallery and had seen some paintings, post-impressionistic paintings from a Chinese artist, Georgette Chen. And I fell in love with the Lotus series. And we started to talk about this. Impressionistic, post-impressionistic, the lotuses, the flowers, the nature, and as you can see how chatty I am, it went on for a while. And then Verena said to me, oh, I am intrigued by this theme. Maybe I could write something for you. And in 2016, I was busy with another project and I had already planned for 2017. And I said, I can't commission a script right now because I don't have budget for it and because I don't know when it's gonna become something. So we left in this way. We had our coffee, bye-bye, and then Verena went to UK to work on her PhD about writing. And when she came back, she handled me a script. And so she had done researches on Georgette Chen. She had read a lot of things, letters and manuscripts, which are in the archives of the National Gallery. We've been talking about some paintings about the Lotus series by Georgette Chen, and the script was born, Lotus Fugue, which is the starting point of why are these people all together as a cast? Because then I decided to make it real and to make it happen in the theater, and that was meant to become real in theater in April this year. The little hint to this story is in one of the movies. You see that there are images of a painting projected on a wall and then finally projected on a back of Wayne. Wayne is hidden somewhere in the chat here. Hi, Wayne. I will give you word in a second. So that is the painting that we were talking about, that as a Georgette Chen Lotus Symphony. It is in the permanent collection of the National Gallery, and it is one of my favorites from the National Gallery collection. And it has been the starting point as a concept of all this project and of us coming together as a cast. And then COVID came and it became something different. So just to give you back a little, and maybe, yes, Lotus Fugue, if COVID allows it, will come to real show in next year. I would like to ask Wayne and then Rachel about your own experience as person and as artist. To be in a cast, we were not really knowing each other really professionally, and to deal with material and to deal with the freedom and with this potential expressive platform that Bang and Tejas have created for us. Wayne, would you like to say something? If you are there, if not, Rachel first, until Wayne can connect. Rachel?
Hello?
Yeah, hi.
Hi. Well, at first I was quite confused what we were supposed to do. And so the only thing I knew was to sing. So I guess Bang says to come with an open mind. So okay, that's easy. I think I have an open mind. So, and then I like to play a lot, obviously. So yeah, so the singing part was what I was familiar with, so we did that. And then it came to filming and I was really quite clueless. So, but then it wasn't really scripted or anything. So I just followed what Bang asked us to do. And that was actually really quite fun because you just kind of see what's in front of you and then you do whatever you want with the objects and things like that. And then I got a really bad headache spinning on that chair. that rotating chair thing. Yeah. And yeah, it's one of my first experiences with this kind of like it's kind of like performance art, I would say. So that was really interesting. Yeah.
Thank you, Rachel. Wayne?
Hi.
Hi.
I think for me, the interesting part is how do we continue playing in the midst of all these regulations because of the current pandemic situation. And at first we thought that, oh no, with all this, we couldn't do a lot of stuff. But I think it forced us to go beyond the parameters to think, well, then what else can we really do? So I feel that the whole situation is a blessing in disguise. It's kind of oxymoron. We are not allowed to do many things, but yet we are able to create so many things beyond what we could think of. So overall, I totally enjoy the experience and collaborating, but yet we don't meet all of us at the same time because of the safety regulations. So for me, it was a rewarding experience. I think this is probably one of the productions that I always remember how we planned for something and end up we could not execute what we would like to, what we planned for, and yet we create out of nothing to have something like this.
Yeah, completely out of nothing. So it is a blessing in disguise, as much as I am concerned as a person and as an artist to have had this big, distressful situation this year that has pushed me completely out of the comfort zone and has pushed me to experience and experiment different things. Very good point, thank you. And we have a question from Carenza to Verena. Your text and reading has become a part of the soundscape, where it's the sounds of the story rather than the words or written work as in a traditional performance. How do you feel, Verena? What was your understanding of how the text would sound as you recorded or before the beginning of this work? Thank you for answering the question.
I mean, I knew that ultimately how the film came together would really depend on Dipesh and Tejas. And really, whatever I had to contribute was just one element. And I wrote a bunch of text and I said, okay, use what you feel is necessary, that it will make sense for you. So you are not at all compelled to use every single bit of text that I produce. And so also when I was recorded reading the text, there was no big guidance as opposed to how to do it. So basically what I did was for my recording session, I just had 2 takes of reading everything. And Sabrina can tell you, I had a blast because I just played with how to say the text. So, so version 1 is different, very, very different from version 2. And ultimately, really, it's just giving Tejas and Dipesh more stuff to, play with and let them decide, really. So my text was not at all precious, was not meant to be precious. And so in that sense, it's, if you want to say this is different from traditional playmaking, where the playwright has conceived the play, and you must stick very much within the confines of this play. But no, ultimately for this one, that's not what the rules were, or the game were, so to speak.
I have to say a little anecdote on this. We were in the recording studio, so we were coming one after the other one. The singers, the pianist was there to accompany the 4 singers, and the singers were scheduled one after the other one. And Verena was the first one, so before the music would start. And I was in the control room with the sound engineer, Gao Yang. I really thank for the great work. And we were listening, we were talking because we were discussing about the music that would be recorded later. And we were on the other side listening to Verena reading as a broadcaster, as a BBC broadcaster, reading the text. And then suddenly she says, okay, I'm done. What would you like me to do? And we said, oh, treat the text as you want. If you want to have a second take, we have time. And we continued to chat, me and the sound engineer. And then suddenly, without looking through the window, we hear that there are voices. There are so many characters alive in the venue. And that was Verena going all over the place, playing physically, really embodying physically different voices and different characters and different type of personage and roles that you would meet. And suddenly the recording studio became a crowd, and it was only Verena playing around with her own pronunciation, a little bit of Singlish, and a little bit of annoyed person or cranky person. So it was a whole crowd. It was very funny to witness how a person can do so much with a voice and can do so much with personifying with the body and with the voice different characters. Any other question or comments or something that you would like to share by writing or by just unmuting your microphone and sharing with us directly? Don't be shy. If not, I continue to talk until midnight.
There's somebody.
Do you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. No, I just want to congratulate you and all the team because it's very impressive. The images are beautiful. It's extremely poetic, extremely modern. It's an amazing work. And I think I'm quite frustrated because I have to look at it in a very small screen. So I really hope that soon, I don't know if you have the ambitions to show your work and this work, which is, it should be a shame that it stays so confidential, and I really would like to see it in a big screen. And I don't know what, I mean, we are in Singapore, so maybe you are already looking at some opportunity, but congratulations. It's which is nice is I think that every time we look at the films, it's a new story and we discover so many more details. And yeah, it really touches the soul and the heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Isabel. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It is
Thank you
true,
very
and
much.
we invite you to, whenever you have time, to watch over. And the videos that you've seen, the short movies are interconnected in the content and in the style, but they are separated. So you can watch one and then 2 days later watch the second one. You can inverse the order and watch the second one first and then the other one whenever you have, because they have layers. And at first sight, you might not catch everything. When I received it yesterday via WeTransfer, first thing was, okay, the producer, is there any mistake? Is there anything that is missed out? Is all the credits are there? Are the logos there, etc., etc.? Then I watched it again and I spotted things. And tonight I watched them again with them and with you, and I saw something else. So if you have time and the wish, it would be maybe interesting to have a second read.
Also, result seems so natural and organic that we can only imagine all the amount of work behind. So yeah, and I was thinking what you said about filming with a smartphone. It made me think that in France there is Claude Lelouch. I think his last movie was in smartphone, right?
Yes. And
Yeah.
the cool thing I will say about him, I followed a lot of his interviews. There used to be something very funny where people would make a smartphone film, but they would just add 500 things to the smartphone, so it just becomes a camera again. It would have lenses and a huge tripod, and you still need 4 people to carry it. But there's 2 people. Claude Lelouch, when he did it, he's like, I'm just going to use the phone like a phone. I'm not going to add 300 things so that we can create a spontaneous film. And the other director who's doing that is Steven Soderbergh. So the Claude Lelouch film, it did very well. It was shown at Cannes, and it's people are starting to understand the reason for doing this, because actors can act more freely when there's not 300 things in their way. So, and thank you. I hope one day we can screen it. I'm a big believer in digital. I think all platforms exist at the same time, but we used to have screenings of our films quite regularly. Obviously, it's very difficult now, but what we used to do, Deepesh and I, is have our own screenings with other people's help or in the open air, or so one day there'll be a proper big screen version of this.
I hope I will go.
Actually, was a comment from Kerenza right now that I was reading in the chat. Why don't we project it open air with people?
Yes, it would be perfect.
So looking at the video, maybe on the walls of a big building, and it's a tempting thing, and my brain starts already to say, okay, how can I do this? How can I do this? Which authority to contact here in Singapore to get permissions? But why not? The work is there and it just needs to be shared. Now it's more to the audience to make something out of it, from us to you, the audience. And then
I just want to say,
yeah.
I just want to say to Isabel, Not because you're French, but because I learned French for 2 years. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much.
Very good, good accent. No, thank you to
That's
you.
all I remember from the 2 years.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. It's absolutely beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you very much.
If you want to watch it, I mean, in your own freedom, since it's on a public
Yeah.
platform. I mean, years ago, I used to project like films and stuff onto large bungalow, old buildings and all that stuff, where we used to rent spaces and we have our own barbecue nights and all that. Even during the COVID time, I would like to pass, you know, whatever I'm watching onto a blank wall at the HDB and share with my neighbors. So yeah, have fun, you know, experiment on different texture. You get different things. You want to throw it on fabric. You want to change it to a different size. You know, with it need not even be a flat wall, for example. It can be on a building and all that, and experience it differently. I mean, you should have your own freedom of how you want to enjoy your art and as an audience. I think in this particular project, the original idea really was also to try to see if we can actually give that choice, all right, for an audience to choose and pick what they want to see or how they want to see things, all right. Just imagine if we chop it up into all the images that we have filmed separately and we just leave it online, and it's for you to make it up, you know, for yourself to stitch it together with a simple software. And imagine you can create a different film, and there will be thousands and thousands of different interpretations of how it ends or how it starts. Because the whole idea at the end of the day was like the beginning and the end can actually interchange too, right? And all that. It's just that in the end we decided we should just put two films together, you know, as a starting point for us to move further, you know, in the future, or for the audience to have the interest to perhaps want to spur us on, you know, for the other possibilities that we actually intended to have. Yeah.
But now, Kerensa and Isabel, now you've given me another input. Now I cannot sleep tonight. My brain is already okay. Whom can I ask? The Art Science Museum, National Arts Gallery, which and URA or LAT.
I think art science definitely would be interesting.
Yeah. So yes, finally, the end of the project is just the beginning.
Yeah, I'm sure it's just the beginning because so many talents in this movie, in these two movies.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
I think that this idea of being in this outdoor space where people are experiencing, you know, there's an awkwardness and an unsurety, and you know, that's the elements of the film that the film is expressing. It becomes another stage of what people are going through, and I think that could be a very unique point of healing or reflection or whatever for people who've been isolated away from each other, away from these shared experiences, where this shared experience of the artist is being projected, where they, you know, they're in the middle of the story as it's being projected around them. You know, like me watching it on a screen at home, going back and forth between my cooking is a very different experience to being totally immersed outdoor in a space where we've all lived through this. Yeah. So yeah, I hope you do take it out.
You don't need to push me more. I'm already there. My brain is already going. Yes, I will. We will seriously try. It's all about, most of all, it's all about authorities' permissions. As soon as you go public and you use public space, but I'm not only very chatty, I'm also very stubborn.
Yes. I mean, this is like
yes, he says.
No, but it's like 4 years or 6 years. How long have we been talking about this?
Yeah.
And thankfully, you never gave it up, which I really appreciate.
Yeah. I was not alone. I have 10 people around me.
These are very different. In fact, during the few years, I think there has been many versions of this. We have had improvisations with Verena, Shana, and all that, you know, at Thomas' place. Yeah, that was one of the beginnings, and we actually had 2 different shows, even in that day where we all first met together. I think it's been a very interesting creative process for all of us, whereby we grow, we evolve, we contemplate, and we constantly think basically nothing stops us from continuing at all. Yeah, for all these years, whatever the restrictions or problems that comes along. And I think that's the whole idea of being an artist. Especially in Singapore, if we choose to be an artist already, it's already a choice, and by choice, then make it a happy choice, and don't let other things, affect ourselves, when things go wrong. I think being an artist is about the resilience. Through any limitations and all that stuff, you can always see possibilities and hope. And I think that's the whole vision of and enjoying art, to make sure that we find our own inner self, our balance, and all that in life. Yeah.
And finally, you are complete. I mean, we are all agreeing. If we didn't have the COVID this year, we would have been doing Lotus Fugue with clear references to the paintings by Georgette Chen by April this year, and it would have been a certain thing, but totally different. And then we had COVID, and then we had this experience. We had this platform for digital presentation grants. We could come with this wish and this real craving for collaboration, craving for expression. This is why the title Crave is really been a craving from us. So whenever we will do Lotus Fugue in the theater, it will be a completely different thing, because we've gone through this experience, and this has been nourishing us, our creativity and our emotions and our being as artists and as persons. So again, to quote Wayne before, it's a hidden blessing after all.
In fact, Wayne had rehearsed with me for our stage version in a very different way, because the text is totally different thing.
Yeah. But the painting stays. The Lotus painting.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's the only thing. Like, the only thing that has stayed consistent is art and nature and the inspiration. I love that painting. So that one painting always stays in our head. But everything, and there will be multiple other versions of this as well. So
Georgette Chen will never leave us alone.
Well, is anyone willing or wishing to say something or write something? If not, we are touched, if I can say, by the words and the things that we've heard from you. We've touched by the fact that you've been so many to watch the show. It's very difficult. So many things are going on digitally right now, and it's already very difficult to cut out a little bit a niche and a little bit of visibility when the theaters are running regularly. But now that the whole planet is feeding the online, it's even more difficult. Basically, you are in competition with I don't know how many other projects, valid things, beautiful concerts, beautiful shows, ballet, anything online. And it's difficult to cut your day life, and you come into your house with a Zoom chat and impose what we want to share with you in your routine of the day. So it's very challenging, and we are touched by the fact that you've been staying with us. You've watched the movies, you have liked it, and you've said nice things and comments, and you've been with us. It's almost 10 o'clock here in Singapore. We couldn't not expect a warmer welcome. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Share the videos with those that you think might like it. Thank you for being with us, and stay tuned, because it's not over. I still don't know
Share
how,
it with your
but
friends.
it's not over.
Send it, everybody. Please send it to your friends as well.
Send it to your friends, and also to the enemies. Maybe it does some good to those. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Everyone. Bye.